Long Shot, brand new romantic comedy with Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. Is it worth checking out this weekend? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler-free review for Long Shot. So is it a great comedy worth seeing this weekend? Short answer, yeah, I think it's worth seeing this weekend. For me personally, I don't know. I like romantic comedies, and there's a few that I think are genuinely really good, but as a whole, I don't know, the romantic comedy genre hasn't completely won me over, and for me, I'm giving this movie a C+. For me, a C+ doesn't really mean anything that bad. I didn't hate this movie. I didn't regret seeing it on the big screen. I was entertained, and I got some good laughs out of this movie. I'm giving it a C+ because I saw it this one time, and for me, I don't think it's really got the rewatchability factor for me. I don't feel like I could go back and see this again and have the same amount of fun, and I really don't have that much interest in really owning this movie. So for me, that's not where this movie landed. But for this one experience, sitting down and watching it in the theater, I thought it was pretty funny. Let me make sure I hit some of those positives, because the positives I want to hit are actually pretty strong. First off, you take Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. Those two have fantastic chemistry together. My wife was laughing in this movie far more than I was, but I was still laughing, but part of it is just their chemistry, and it was solid. It was good. It was believable. So this movie is basically of Charlize Theron. She's Secretary of State. She's, about to announce her run to be the first female president of the United States. So what we're seeing is a woman with class, a woman who's beautiful, a woman with power with Seth Rogen. No more needs to be said there. And he's typical Seth Rogen in this movie. So if you are a huge fan of Seth Rogen and you love his style of comedy, well, then you would enjoy this because it doesn't compromise on his raunch or his style of comedy, the type of stuff that he brings to the table. He brings that to the table. So he plays this journalist and he's got these firm values and he's unbendable. But it's interesting, and this is something that I found interesting in the story. It's to the point that he's so unbendable, he's only able to see one point of view. So one way, the movie commends him for having these values, and they help us to like him for having these values, because when this huge rich dude conglomerate comes and buys up his newspaper, so it prints what that person wants to print, he has those values. He is not going to stick around, and he quits his job, which opens him up for the plot to be what's her name? Charlize Theron. Okay, her name in the movie is Charlotte. Okay, so it opens him up to be Charlotte's punch-up speechwriter. To go through the speech, add in some jokes and things like that. But we see that he's got values, but it's just cool to see that also he's unbendable to the point that he can only see through one perspective. And part of his journey in this movie is realizing I can have values, but I also need to understand how not to be a jerk. I need to understand how to see from other people's perspective. And so it's kind of interesting that the movie did that. And I enjoyed that aspect of it, where Seth Rogen met a woman that he fell in love with, and because of her position of power, he was going to have to make certain sacrifices that maybe he wasn't comfortable with at first. But then it's not all on him to make those sacrifices. She's going to have to make some sacrifices for him too, even concerning her lifelong dream. So I feel like they had a great chemistry with that, and in terms of the story, they did a good job telling that story of these two people falling in love and learning this as they go in a very interesting situation where all of social media, all the public eye, and everything, is looking at them. And so that was kind of an interesting way to take the romantic comedy and modernize it a little bit and kind of bring it into that. So I thought that story element of it was pretty cool. I liked the chemistry between Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. I thought all of that was really good. I thought for sure this movie was too long. I really think you could have done this movie in 95 minutes instead of 2 hours and 5 minutes. And by kind of trimming it back to 95 minutes, I really feel okay, so maybe the jokes could have flown faster or something. I don't know. The point is, I did think it went a little too long, and that's part of my C+. I just felt like it drug out a little bit. And the other reason it's a C+ is because you know the end of this movie from the beginning. You really do. It's a romantic comedy, and it follows that formula. You know what's coming. But if that's what you're looking for, you're looking to just have a comedy that is a true comedy, this is your movie this weekend. If you want to say, "Aw," and you want to see their relationship and watch it grow, then this is your movie. If you like Seth Rogen and his type of humor, he definitely brings it, at the same time bringing a different maturity to it, then this is your movie. So, C+ for me, because for me it was just kind of average. I liked it, I was entertained, I don't feel the desire to see it again. But if you love romantic comedies and it's kind of your thing, this might be your film this weekend. So, what did you think? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.